He's here, now broadcasting from the wide-open spaces of McClendon, Chisholm, Texas, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building. We've once again made contact with the greatest threat to Rockwall County's liberal left, a true conservative and our leader, Bunker Bomb.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, actually. It's 5 o'clock. Thank you for being with me today. It has been a busy day because, well, there's been a lot going on, obviously, every day now that the campaign is coming to a close and Election Day is coming up on Saturday. Early voting is over, and we are now seeing a ramp up like you've never seen before. And I'm going to just tell you the reason that there is good reason why I have titled today's program that William Dahl, candidate for city council, has lost his mind. And William Dahl epitomizes the left. And I just think it's important that as we talk about the left, that I continue to remind you what the definition that I'm using about the left, what it is, because that is one who propagates and or advances misinformation, half-truths, and or outright lies to slander, demonize, and or vilify those whose efforts or actions align with or mirror the beliefs of McClendon Chisholm conservatives. So when we talk about the left, when I talk about the left, I'm not talking necessarily about liberals. Because again, I've got liberal friends who are not leftists that I can have a reasoned conversation with, who don't go out and vilify and castigate people based upon fallacious, baseless claims. But that is what we see and continue to see in this election, and especially with Lorna Kippett, Trudy Wasner, and of course, William Dahl, the man who says that he wants to bring common sense to City Hall. And if there's one thing that William Dahl is not going to be bringing, that is common sense to City Hall. Yesterday, I highlighted a post, an official message, an official statement that Mr. Dahl made on his Facebook page. And this basically was it, the official statement of the William Dahl campaign. And one of the things that he talked about was that inclusion, equality, public service, and honesty are utmost important to us. I'm assuming he means Lorna Kippett and Trudy Wasner, because that would be the us, I guess, that he's talking about. And we will continue to strive for these values in our community. Now watch this. He says, we will continue to run an ethical, fair, and positive campaign. And what else does he say? He wants to bring back dignity to the council. He wants to bring back common sense to the council. This is the man who has gone around and told citizens, don't waste your time in filling out the citizen survey, because surveys are stupid. They're politically motivated. Oh, but he didn't have a problem creating his own survey on his Facebook page. And then, of course, what did he do in his survey? He asked these very objective questions, like, for instance, will you turn over documents pertaining to illegal activity and violations by the former appointed mayor, that's me, to law enforcement agencies? Of course, he doesn't explain what illegal activities he's talking about. The interesting thing is that Mark and Lorna Kippett, Mark Kippett specifically, who is a former candidate who lost big by a landslide against Wayne Orchard when he decided that he didn't like the fact that Wayne Orchard and I were running on a tax rollback platform. course, Mark Kippett supported those who wanted to raise our taxes 228%, from 9 cents to 32 cents, who wanted to increase our budget by 333%. Not only did Mark Kippett endorse them, he ran with them. He ran against Wayne Orchard and lost. And Mark Kippett has made, when I was mayor, made multiple open records requests for information, just praying that he could find something, the smoking gun that proved that what we were doing was illegal. The problem is, we were transparent in everything we did. That's why we were so transparent that we broadcast live all of our city council meetings. So it didn't matter what time we ended that meeting. It was always online, and it had been recorded so that anybody could go back and see exactly what we did and why we did it. Of course, Mark Kippett doesn't care about that. No. Neither does William Dahl. William Dahl wants to find illegal activities. What does this sound like to you? Does this sound like a Republican? Because Mr. Dahl claims to be one. Of course, Mr. Dahl is from California. Now, the fact that he just moved into McClendon-Chisholm last April is irrelevant to him. He still calls David Day, the one person running in McClendon for city council, who's been a citizen of McClendon-Chisholm longer than any of the candidates by at least a decade. Though he still calls Mr. Day a newcomer. Oh, but so what is Mr. Dahl and the civility that he wants to bring? What could you possibly be looking for? You know what? I've got great news for you, Mr. Dahl, Ms. Kippett, and Ms. Wassner. I've got great news. You have an advocate who basically doesn't have anything to do anymore. So why don't you, since he's finished with Donald Trump, since the Democrats didn't get what they wanted out of that. I mean, Robert Mueller could probably spend a few $100 million of taxpayer dollars to find about the same thing they found with Donald Trump. Nothing. You are a witch hunter. You're creating things out of whole cloth. Of course, Mark and Lorna Kippett echo or actually, Mr. Dahl, you've been echoing what Mark and Lorna Kippett have been saying about the survey that ended yesterday. Basically, how ridiculous it is. We don't need to do surveys. Lorna Kippett is running to basically, she wants to do town hall meetings. She thinks that's going to be better for us. That you get better response from it, despite the fact that no one's going to attend. I mean, the few people that do attend are not, even the few that do attend, are not going to be able to get all of their questions answered or be able to respond and give feedback like a survey could do. But that's irrelevant. They don't believe in surveys. Oh, wait a minute. Stop that. They do. This is what Mark Kippett says when he looked at Dahl's survey, and I talked about this yesterday. I went through his entire survey. I'm just summing up yesterday. And he says, what did Mark Kippett say? This is what a citizen survey should look like. All great questions. So when Mark and Lorna Kippett say that they want to be objective, dry that out and fertilize the lawn, because that's about all it's good for. The bottom line is we need thoughtful, logical, and civil city council members. Really. Vote for Will, Lorna, and Trudy. Vote for civility and a return to common sense to City Hall. Step 1, return power to the mayor and stop the single council member who can push their agenda. Yeah, see, isn't it awful that when I was mayor, I said that every member of the city council, because they are an elected individual, they've been elected by the people, have the right to put anything they want on the agenda. Mark Kippett, William Dahl, Lorna Kippett, Trudy Wassner absolutely disagree with that. They don't believe that they should have a right to put anything on the agenda. You have to have 2 members of council that allow you to put it on the agenda. These people are hypocrites. But what does William Dahl say? He says, we will continue to run ethical, fair, and positive campaign. We're going to bring back dignity and common sense. But let's back up. Just Look at his public statement. Look at how he opens his public statement. He says, the negative, unethical, bigoted, racist, and divisive campaign practices being conducted by the opposing new and incumbent candidates. The new candidate, remember, David Day, new guy in town, even though William Dahl just moved into McClellan-Chisholm last April. He wants to be your city councilman, remember? Is not our vision and future that we see for the city of McClellan-Chisholm. Did you miss that? The unethical, bigoted, and racist. He calls David Day, Scott Turnbull, and Adrian Balcom bigots and racist. And what evidence does he have? Well, let's keep reading. Let's just see all of the evidence. See, that's what I do on this program, isn't it? I show you evidence of fact. I don't create conjecture. I don't say, well, I talked to so-and-so and I've got an email that says that such and such happened. You could just, I don't do that, do I? I show you the email. I post it on my site. I say, here's the email. Here's the evidence. Let's see what William Dahl says. He says, we would like to reiterate we do not condone fear tactics, hate speech. Yesterday's program, what was it? Hate. Truth sounds like hate to people who hate the truth. That's why William Dahl hates what we're saying, what I'm saying on this program. And personal attacks. We find the strategy unbecoming of a public official in the office that they seek. We strongly condemn this behavior. Personal attacks. Who is it that fear tactics, hate speech, and personal attacks? Who is it that called David Day, Scott Turnbull, and Adrian Balcom bigots and racists without a shred, without a scintilla of evidence? You did, Mr. Dahl. This is called identity politics. This is a tool used by the left. When you have no response, this is the problem with the left. This is a problem with anyone who is on the wrong side of an issue. When they don't have a defense, when they can't rebut or refute facts, they basically degrade to name-calling, mudslinging, and personal attacks. What I find most interesting, Mr. Dahl, can you provide, again, I asked you yesterday, please provide the evidence of fact that demonstrates, you provide us the evidence of fact that demonstrates that any one of these candidates, any one of them, is unethical, is bigoted, is racist. You know what I think is unethical? That you call people bigots and racist. You know what I find ironic about your entire diatribe, your silly conjecture, your baseless argument? What I find fascinating is that, you know, that most bigots and racists don't adopt biracial babies. If David Day is a bigot and a racist, he and his wife adopted a little boy, a 2-year-old. I think he's 2 now, or maybe he's 3. He's biracial. Do you not think you owe Mr. Day an apology? Mr. Dahl, Mr. Civility, Mr. Common Sense? You probably don't. Something tells me you're going to try to justify your actions. Racist. I'm sorry, and I hesitate to say this because maybe I've got this wrong, but I thought that I thought you were white. Mr. Day's white, Miss Balcom's white, and so is Mr. Turnbull. Are you talking about attacks? And so is Mrs. Wassner. So is Mr. and Mrs. Kippett. Where's the racism? When has anyone said anything about anyone of color, of a different race? Never. Never. Bigoted and racist. Sir, you are bigoted and racist if you're going to do this. If this is the standard you use, where there's no basis of fact, where you don't care, okay, then you're the bigot, you're the racist. See how that is? See how stupid that sounds? How can you say that? How can you do this? You know, there's a point of common decency that should come into play in an election. I get that you hate conservatives. I get that. I get that you're playing Republican so that you can get elected. I get that. But good gracious, have you no sense of decency? No, obviously you don't. You want people to elect you? What I find disgusting is that the Kippets and Trudy Wasner, they reposted what what does it say? It says official statement from the William Dahl campaign. Where is it posted? On your campaign website. Trudy Wasner, Lorna Kippett reposted this on their website. And here's what Trudy Wasner added to that. Don't fall for their lies. Good people are being duped. As I said yesterday, yes, by you. What did we talk about yesterday when it came to mudslinging? Because this was something that the Lorna Kippett campaign put out. The definition of mud, or they put out a piece that said that mudslinging was going on, that she was going to focus on the issues. And of course, I went down to demonstrate that the use of insults or accusations, especially unjust ones, with the aim of damaging the reputation of an opponent, was the tactic that is being used by none other than Lorna Kippett, Trudy Wasner, and William Dahl. The very people who claim victimhood. This is the next phase of leftism. You become a victim. You stand for the rights of victims. You embody victimhood. Oh, we're the victims of mudslinging, when in fact you're the one who is mudslinging the whole time. This is let's not forget Mrs. Kippett, Mr. Kippett. Here's what Lorna Kippett put as part of a post. I talked about this yesterday, or the day before yesterday, excuse me. And I went through this entire post. I want to reiterate one of the points that I made, where she puts in here, because she talks about her service to our country, which again I have stated and restated. Thank you for your service to our country, because I have never ever violated. I've never insulted anyone for their service to our country. Never. Even though your husband, Mr. Kippett, claims that I did, he lied. He slandered. He has no conscience. But I appreciate your service. I appreciate your husband's service. I appreciate everyone's service to our country. So you talk about that, and then you go on to say, why is this important to you as a voter? Because my opponent is a veteran too. However, he chose to run against me solely because I am a veteran, and he thought that it would be fun. He even asked the incumbent to give up her seat so she could run against me. Now, what is the actual fact of this? Is that why? Is that why David Day ran against you? Well, here's the announcement that was in the paper in the Rockwell Hilarious banner. Here's what it is. Let me read it, a portion of it, the opening of it. He says, my campaign is about protecting the quality of life for those of us who actually live and pay taxes inside our city. Lately, it's been county neighbors of McClendon Chisholm whose influence has cost us money. We're already obligated for their emergency services for free, and now they want to turn us into the Highland Park of Rockwall County. Day said he specifically asked current Place 1 council member Adrian Balcom, who is now running for Place 5, if he could run against Lorna Kippett's Place 1 campaign. Quote, call it Navy versus Air Force, Day said, noting his and Kippett's shared veteran status. The reason he ran was not because he thought it would be fun. He ran against you because in the last campaign, you used identity politics. Your husband, the neighbors for McClendon Chisholm PAC, used identity politics to tell veterans to vote for veterans. Didn't matter what they believed in, just vote for a veteran. That's how the campaign was run. And so, of course, David Day took that issue away so that you guys could talk about issues. Of course, the only person not talking about issues in this campaign is you. You want to talk about this kind of stuff. You say to these to people when you go door to door, every time I explain that rationale to a veteran, they are perplexed. Their response mirrors mine. Veterans stand together. They do not tear apart. Yeah, you know, if you came to my door and you told me the only reason David Day is running against you is because he's a fellow veteran, yeah, I'd be perplexed too. The fact that it's not true, that it's a completely baseless lie that you are telling people, you are actually putting in print that you're lying to the people of McClendon Chisholm. The fact that you're doing that demonstrates the integrity of your campaign. But you talk about veterans stand together. They do not tear apart. Really? You see, do you remember who this guy is? This guy is Jim Herron. You know who Jim Herron is? He's a member of City Council. Jim Herron, just to give you a sense, for those of you who didn't get to see the show where I talk about this, for more than 30 years, Jim served with this distinction in the United States Air Force, 20 of them as part of Joint Special Operations Command, JSOC, at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. He continues his service to his country as Director of Aircraft Integration and Innovation, overseeing the integration and installation of state-of-the-art airborne satellite terminals on the United States Air Force's elite blue and white fleet of aircraft, which includes the VC-25A, also known as Air Force One. Mr. Herron is a veteran. You say veterans stand together. They do not tear apart. Well, remember this. What is this, Mrs. Kippett? This is a sign that was created by a fellow veteran. This sign has the pictures of Adrian Balcom, Scott Turnbull, and Jim Herron. And what's on top of it? An X. Veterans stand together. They do not tear apart. Yeah. This is your idea of standing together, I guess, where you cross out Jim Herron's name. And who was it that created this nonsense? Well, of course we all remember who this is. We remember that this is the dancing clown, the veteran. This is a veteran who stands together. He made these signs. He posted stickers of this sign all over Rockwall, not McClendon Chisholm, Rockwall. You have people who have this sign in their yard. Now, who on earth would ever put a sign like this in their yard, especially if they're a veteran? No veteran I know. How about you, Mrs. Kippett? Oh, wait a minute. That's right. This is a post by who else? The dancing clown. What does he say? Mark Kippett is a sign on his property on the way to City Hall. Veterans stand together. They do not tear apart. Did you tell that to your husband when he put that sign out there? Heavens no, because you don't believe the rhetoric that you espouse. You're a fraud. You're a true fraud. The fact is, this is a campaign. The Kippett campaign, the Dahl campaign, the Wassner campaign. This is a campaign that is based upon absolute falsehoods, baseless claims, victimhood, identity politics, and they want to be your city council members. This is their idea of a civil campaign. Does this sound like common sense to you? Because it doesn't sound like common sense to me. You know, next time if they come to your door, ask them some of these questions. Ask them where they stood on the tax rollback. Ask them things that make them produce evidence of fact. And if you see William Dahl, say, show me the evidence that these good people who you say are bigots and racist are what you say they are. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for being with me today, and I hope you have a great one.